Hello, and welcome to this series where we'll be looking in detail at TimeSplitters 2. Now this series will be exploring all aspects of the game. We'll be getting to areas you're not supposed to, achieve mission goals earlier than the game wants us to, and get an understanding of how the levels work, their triggers and AI implementations. I'll also be comparing the differences of the story mode maps to their arcade league and challenge mode counterparts, as well as the easy, medium and hard mode variations. To do this, I'm using the PlayStation 2 emulator PCSX2 version 1.4.0 and a series of action replay codes, most notably the walk through walls and freeze animations codes. With these, we can explore the levels in full detail and freeze AI characters in place when we need to. So let's begin with the first level of the game, Siberia. We'll start with the easy mode version of the map and work up to hard. Now, whilst we can walk through walls, there's a rather unfortunate downside that the game only renders what the player is supposed to already see. This means a lot of objects and parts of the map that are out of view can't be seen properly. Another issue is some walls and objects, such as certain doors, are still impassable. We can get around most of these problems with a bit of creative manoeuvring, but it's important to be aware of a few limitations. You can see here, as I go outside the tunnel, the outside area isn't rendered properly. You can see a few lighting effects and smoke effects, but otherwise that's the kind of thing we'll run into as we try to get to certain areas of the game. So you can see our good friend Captain Snow up there, and I'm going to show the freeze animations cheat. Now that will freeze him in place, and certain objects, such as the radar dish, will also be frozen in place. Cameras and sentry guns aren't affected by this unfortunately, but this is a very useful code if you want to get through certain areas of the map, or maybe before certain AI spawn. It's useful for these kind of things. Now let's have a look at the starting area. You start in this tunnel, which gets gradually darker and darker towards the end until you run into a brick wall. It's kind of strange there's a brick wall there, and if you look there's nothing behind it, so this tunnel basically leads nowhere. Now I really wanted to get to the river, but unfortunately the ground around it isn't solid. Close to the fence and the cliff is okay, you can walk there, but as you try and get towards the river, or if you do manage to get on top of the river, you'll simply fall through it and die. So I wanted to show the different ways to get past this locked door. Even with the walk through walls cheat on, it's considered solid. You can get through if you approach it sideways however. Normally you'd activate the switch in the control room and the door will open, but I thought I'd show all the ways to get in. For this, I'm going to let the camera see me. If a camera sees you for long enough, it will spawn reinforcements somewhere on the map to come and hunt you down. In this case, they spawn behind the door near the stairs. I was interested to find out if the AI could open this door from the other side. I got the attention of a guard and led them down here. Now you can get through this door with the walk through walls cheat if you approach it from the side, but the area behind it won't load. You've got to approach the door completely sideways to load the next area. As you can see there, the AI opened the door fine from that side. I wanted to take it a bit further, so we're going to quickly revisit this map in the arcade league. Now I'm on the arcade league level Golden Thighs, which uses Siberia as the map. Normally Siberia isn't a playable multiplayer map, it appears in a few challenges and a few arcade leagues. Even when you do get to play on this map, the door to the dam is still locked and you're confined to the starting area. This one's a good example because you're against one AI, which is Jungle Queen, and she'll hunt you down, so you can go anywhere on the map and her goal will be to find you. Now I'm going to squeeze through the door once I've got her attention, and we're going to wait to see if she can open it. So that there shows that the AI is capable of opening locked doors, and it may not only apply to Siberia, it may work on other levels and it may work in other arcade levels. Now we'll come back to Siberia in its arcade mode form later on, we'll continue with the story mode. The next thing I'd like to show isn't anything secret or hidden, it's a radio broadcast which you can hear in the control room above. It appears to be a mixture of French and Russian and a lot of static noise. I've turned the music off for this segment so you can hear it clearly.
Setzt aufs Militär.
Bah là on va passer au deuxième exercice parce que le
Hey, superposen. Fortæl mig, hvordan I har det med...
L'ancien Premier ministre finlandais se prononce pour l'accroissement des subventions. Finlande.
So before we showed that when the security camera sees you, reinforcements spawn inside the base and they open the door to come out. So I'm just going to show what it looks like when they actually spawn. They simply just appear around the corner. Now whilst it isn't possible to walk on the frozen river, you can actually walk on the bottom part of the dam. It is solid and you can walk all the way across to the other side. Effectively, you can skip the two stairwell segments and the room near the top of the dam. Another thing is, when you get close to the centre of the dam, it stops snowing. When you get closer to the other sides, the snow comes back. It seems the snow is only generated in areas where the game expects you to be, and the centre of the dam isn't one of those places. It could just be an in-game animation or effect which is localised in those two outside areas. We can also get behind the dam, but unfortunately it doesn't render very well. We can sort of see the back of the dam and some of the details, but the more we turn to the left or right, the more the view gets cut off. It's just an unfortunate rendering issue with this game. You can also see the two doors at the bottom of the dam. The one on the left you can actually open despite not being able to see the interior, the button still works fine. If you look up, you can actually see steam. I believe that comes from the pipe near the top of the dam, which you can turn off with the valves. Okay, so I've just reset things and we're back at the start. This is the entrance on the right hand side at the bottom of the stairwell, and this is the lift you first see. I'm showing that even with the walkthrough walls cheat on, you can't go through the lift door. But if you access it the same way we did with the other door, by going through the side, you can get the interior to load. Now there's no lift in there, so we'll actually be going in here without the lift, and you can see the floor. When you press a button, it'll say there's no power. In easy mode, there's no actual way to get the power started. In medium and hard mode, you find a floppy disk which you put in a drive, it starts the generators, and then you can use the lifts to get to the top. But we can't do that in this mode. So for now, we're just going to make our way to the top of the dam. Now we're at the top, but there's not a great deal to do here, so we're going to go outside the walls and we're just going to get a look at the back of the rooms and the general layout so we can see what it looks like. We'll clear the rooms of enemies and then we're going to come and do this again. If we do this from the other side by going across the bottom of the dam and doing it backwards, you'll see that it's quite different. So we're now back at the entrance to the dam. I've not gone through this door yet. Instead, we're going to make our way across the dam and go through the left hand side door, going up the stairwell, across the top and back down again in reverse order. Normally, you'd make your way down this stairwell and encounter several enemies on the way. But as you can see here, no enemies have spawned, so we've obviously not hit the correct trigger box to spawn them in. This tells us that these enemies are not pre-placed. The same can be said for the enemies in the long corridor at the top and on the other side of the dam. They've just not spawned in. When we get back to the other side of the dam, we'll do this section again properly and you'll see they've spawned. It's likely they're not pre-placed in order to save memory. So you can see now that the AI has spawned in. This gives you a good idea of how trigger boxes work in the game. When the player enters a certain area, the AI will spawn. With the walkthrough walls cheat, we can bypass a lot of the triggers in the story mode levels. Normally, in the second outside area, there are two guards on easy mode, one here and one around the corner near the security camera. Now, as you saw before, I just took the lower section of the dam to get across here and there are no guards. This is another example of not hitting the correct trigger box to spawn the enemies. If we go back inside and just up the first part of the stairwell and come back, you'll see the AI spawns in. We've got another security camera here, and I'm just going to show where the reinforcements spawn. With this one, it's actually possible to spawn 2 reinforcements. You can sometimes get this to work with the first camera, but it seems a bit harder to pull off. If you kill the reinforcements and get seen again, you can generate more.
Hey.
The fire alarm here basically acts as a switch to generate reinforcements. If you press it, a Captain Snow will appear from this door. If you kill the Captain Snow, then press the alarm again, you can keep generating them endlessly. One of the best parts of this level is the Anaconda cartridge. It's behind the fire alarm on some shelving. You can get a good look at the cartridge here, and it strongly resembles a Nintendo 64 cartridge. This is probably a nod to GoldenEye, which was made by the same development team as TimeSplitters for the Nintendo 64. The shower room is quite interesting. There's a reflective surface at the end where the shower is, but it's not a true reflection. Shooting the wall won't reflect the bullet holes in the water reflection. If we go out of bounds, you can see that this room is actually double in height, going downwards. This might have something to do with the reflective surface. Okay, so we're going to make our way to the floppy drive terminal. Now in easy mode it will say the terminal is inoperative, normal and hard mode will say it requires the floppy disk. On easy mode you can't even access the area where the floppy disk is located, but because we have the walkthrough wall sheet enabled we can go to this area. You can see the message there. Now in normal mode or hard mode, if you put the floppy disk in the drive it will say the generators are active, and this means you can then use the lifts to get to the very top of the dam. No matter what you try on easy mode though, you can't use the lifts, the generators will never activate. This door here is normally locked on easy mode and you can't access it, but now we're in. There's no guard there, but you can still use the security turret. The 2 switches used to unlock these doors still work. can see there are no zombies or guards in this area, it's completely empty. Surprisingly, the floppy disk itself is still here, but if you pick it up, nothing triggers. Usually the room will go to dark red lighting and all the zombies will wake up, but nothing will happen this time. Here's a quick look at the room from the outside. Here's another area you can't get to on easy mode, behind the laser gate. Thanks to the cheat, we can skip the laser gate and get access to the flamethrower. It doesn't matter how close you get to the zombie, he won't wake up. If you set him on fire, however, they will get up and follow you, but if you leave the area where the laser gate is, it will simply stay still until it dies. We can also gain access to the laser gate in room number 3. There's nothing behind here, just 2 zombies. Like before, these zombies won't wake up unless you set them on fire. He's chasing me down, but as soon as we leave the area, he'll stop. Even if we go back in, he won't attempt to chase me. We're now at the final part of this level for easy mode. We can take a good look at the biohazard container. You can also walk into the container and have a look at the contents. There's simply a TimeSplitter model inside here. If we venture outside the walls, you can get a good look at the pit where the container was originally at. You can also see the cable which holds it up. The floating gun comes from another part of a level which isn't rendered at the moment, probably from a fallen soldier. You can get a good look at the cave system here as well as it tubes up around itself. Once the container is destroyed, it will change model and we can take a peek inside. You can see now the TimeSplitter is completely gone and all the glass is broken. A metal floor has also appeared where there wasn't one before. For now, that's all we'll be looking at. Next time I'll be looking at the differences on normal and hard mode and some of the final details on Siberia. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time.